Hi, my name's Kim, and I wanted to talk about flow today. Thank you for tuning into my channel. So, I channel guides. I also talk a lot to my high self throughout the day, and it's something that everyone is able to do. And as we sort of move through into a higher consciousness, our ability to hear our higher self and our guides is increasing as the light is increasing in our body. Our channels are opening more. So it's not something that is just available to the few, but I really believe everyone will be able to tune more and more in. And so part of that for me is flow. So trusting more and more what my higher self is telling me and what I'm feeling in each moment, and not needing to plan things out as much. So previously, the mind is attached to a lot of expectations and a lot of outcomes. So it's talking a lot about, it's telling you, these are the things you want to achieve. So this is what you need to do to get it. And often that's a mind story, because if you're really tuned in and listening to your higher self, they can guide you in a way that's different to what your mind is guiding you. And it's not so much in the future. So our mind, say if you're looking at Monday today when I'm filming this, my mind could look at the week and go, okay, right, this is what I want to get done. This is what needs to, be ticked off the list. And this is how I think I should get it done. While more and more I'm kind of just every day in the morning going, okay, cool. What would you like me to do today? What would you like me to focus on? And I'll either be told or I'll have like an intuitive kind of like pull or inspiration towards something. So the less I'm letting my mind kind of play with that, the easier it is to kind of flow. So each moment kind of going, what feels good now? So what feels good in this moment? And that's also like, you can definitely have intentions. So it's not like I'm just kind of, blowing on the wind going, la la la, yeah, sure, whatever, let's just do, let's go sit outside for 2 hours, which, hey, I could do that too. It feels good. But I do have intentions. So I have intentions for the week in terms of work. So, I'll be like, oh, this is, I want to work on my website, or I want to plan social media, or I want to reach out to these people. So I might have intentions or things that I would like to get done, but I'm not necessarily attaching myself to when they get done. And a good example of this is on the weekends. I don't tend to work on the weekends, so it really is, my time is really unattached. So my mind is more able to do it on the weekend, because it's not so much attached to this idea of certain things that have to get done for business. So the last 2 weekends has just been really delightful. So for example, Saturday I had no plan. So I woke up, did what I normally do, which is usually meditate, talk to my guides for the day, say, what is there anything you need me to do or focus on today? And then I just had breakfast, walk the dog, all those kind of morning things I like to do. And then I was kind of like, okay, well, I have no plans. I'm going to go sit in the sun and enjoy it because it's such a beautiful day. And about half an hour later, my friend texted me going, oh, hey, are you going to be around your shop? I want to bring my mum in. It'd be great if you were there. Can we, I'm sorry about the late notice, but are you available? And so he wanted to meet in an hour. And I was like, sure, yeah, sounds good. So then I knew then in an hour's time, I had an hour to kind of do more lying in the sun, and I had a cup of tea, and I did a few little things around the house, and then I went and met him and his mum and just had a delightful time showing him around my skincare shop, the Botanical Store, which is in Melbourne. And they had fun, we just were laughing, and yeah, it was just enjoyable. And then that took about an hour or so, and then I was like, again, no plans. They were going off to do their own thing, and I was like, well, I guess I've got to have some lunch or something. And I looked at my phone, and my housemate had a message going, hey, we're going to go for a swim at a gorge nearby. Do you want to come? And I was like, cool, great, sounds fun. So then I knew I had like an hour and a half to go have lunch. So I found this beautiful cafe, and I was doing intuitive writing, which is where you can write to your guides, which is fun as well. So you don't just have to talk to them. You can sometimes just let them write stuff out to you. And I was just getting these beautiful messages. So that was really nice. And so then 2 hours later, I was in this amazing, like, beautiful reserve park that had a massive sort of dam lake thing in there, which I'd heard about but never been. And so it was just beautiful to be amongst the trees, and there was a beautiful creek running through there. And we were swimming, and there were turtles, and it was just the most delightful afternoon. And then about an hour after being there, I was like, you know what, I feel like having dinner with my friend. I'm just going to message him and see if he's available. So I just texted and say, hey, do you want to have dinner tonight? And he got back and he's like, yeah, sure, I finished this workshop at 6. Let's go, have dinner. So then, came home, flowed into dinner, and had beautiful dinner, and then came home. So that was my Saturday, and it was so beautiful. And none of it was planned. Literally just lined up perfectly. Like, it couldn't have flowed any better. So it's still that thing of, yes, I didn't initiate two of those things. Two of those things came to me, and I initiated the dinner, the third thing, because that's what I felt like doing at the time. And so I just reached out, and that was good timing for that person as well. So on the weekends, I find that really, just easy, because it's also like if nothing comes up, like Sunday, that was Saturday. So Sunday was a lot more quiet. Each moment I was just going, what do I feel like doing now? Do I feel like, cleaning the house? Because I had that intention set for the weekend, that it was my weekend to clean the house. So I knew at one point I wanted to do that. And I was like, do I feel like doing it now? Yeah, I do. So I'm going to do it now. And then, I'm tired, I'm going to sit down and read my book for a bit. So it was just about, in each moment, kind of going, what do I feel like doing? And so I find I do that with work as well. So I tend to set myself, 40 minutes to an hour sort of sections where I'll sit down and do something, but I'll in each moment be like, okay, what do I feel like doing now? So if my guides have told me, like, they've been telling me a lot more specific things, like today you need to work on budgets or work on websites, numerous things I need to do in the day. So I know that they've got a certain intention. The other day it was finishing off tea labels for our new tea range for the shop. So that involved drawing and putting it together on Illustrator. So it's lots of different things, but they will be that specific. They will go, yes, today this is a good day to do that. And it's so good to follow that, because it feels really good to do. So for example, these tea labels that I've been putting off for ages, because I sat down and did them just before Christmas. I think I tried to sit down and do them, and my mind just couldn't handle the designing of it. So it involved doing watercolor designs and then putting them together and coming up with blurbs and descriptions and things like that. And for some reason, when I sat down to do it, my mind was like, you've got to get this done. I was just like, no. I tried to do it. And so I've kind of been putting it off, I guess, because my mind was also going, I found that hard. And it was not urgent. It's not an urgent thing. It didn't need to be done. And so it was in the back of my mind that I want to get them done. And it was 3 or 4 days ago, I think. I asked my guys in the morning and I said, what do you want me to get done today? And they said tea labels. And I went, cool, that's good, because I do want to get them done. And when I sat down to do them, it was so fun. And it was so ridiculously easy compared to when I was trying to do it before. And I've noticed that about a lot of things they tell me to do. Times where I've tried to do it because I've said that I have to do it, and it's hard. And then when my guides have gone, no, today you can do this, and it's just fun, and you get that sort of nice inspirational feeling. So I find it's really about not pushing either. So it's not about letting the mind attach to things that you think have to be done, even when there's deadlines. So I asked for a friend, we were talking about this, and she was like, yeah, but what about when you know you have to get something done? Like, it just, tough biggies, you have to get it done. And so I asked them about that, and they said, your mind thinks that's a deadline. So even if someone else is like, no, you need to get that stuff done, or you need to get that thing into me by this date, you don't actually have to. And I guess it's a case-by-case scenario. Like, I was kind of the example that I use when I've been really stressed before because of this time constraint I've had in my head was years ago making jewellery for a market, for example. And I'd be like, no, I need to get all these stock made because that market that's a deadline. That's not moving. Like, that has to be happening. And there was all this stress and I didn't feel like doing it then. So I was like, well, what about in that situation? And the answer they sort of said was, they did say was, your mind thinks that particular stock needs to be made, but actually maybe it doesn't. Like maybe the stock you've already had made is the stuff that will sell, and you're just putting this extra pressure on yourself because your mind thinks that you need more stock or that particular item to sell at the market, while they may know that when you get there that item isn't popular or it's not needed or someone else is selling too much of it, or you just never know. So trying to push yourself to do that when it feels bad, like, you know, when it just feels bad, you're sitting there and you're hating every minute of it, even though it's something fun like making jewelry or whatever it might be, but you're hating it. And it's like, oh, but I have to do it because I have this deadline. And so they were just kind of like, you don't actually, you can't see the bigger picture. So just trust that if it's really feeling bad, step back and be like, does this actually feel like flow right now? And if it doesn't, then look at maybe your perception. Does that need to change? So really kind of understanding what the mind thinks needs to happen and actually what you can be flowing in that moment. So it's a really good barometer, kind of be like, what is feeling good right now? Because I'm learning more and more that if it doesn't feel good in that moment, it's usually not the right time to be doing it. It's either you're not in the right space energetically, so you're just going to be pushing stuff uphill anyway, or it's something you don't need to be doing, but your mind thinks you do, but you actually don't. So your guides are kind of trying to save you time by going, actually just leave that, like it'll sort itself out. Another great thing about, I find, flow and trusting kind of what feels good is I'm finding more and more that things where I go, oh, I need to get that done, or I need to do that, and then I just kind of let it go. And the universe is kind of been just making things happen. So one recent example was I got inspired to write a list of marketing things I want to do for the shop, and one of them was collaborate with one of the shops further up the road. So I just wrote it on the list and left it for a day or two, and, you know, past Kim would have been actioning it. You know, it would have been like, right, I've got to email that person, I've got to message that, I've got to organise this. But because I didn't feel inspired to follow up on that list, like it felt good to write it, and then I didn't really feel like doing anything action-wise towards it. But it was interesting because 2 or 3 days later, I went into the store and the girls working were like, oh, hey, you know, the woman that runs the shop up the road walked in here and she wants to collaborate with you. She said, just go up the road and have a chat when you're ready. And I was like, thanks, universe. Thanks, guys. I didn't have to do anything. So I literally wrote collaborate with this shop, and she walked in 3 days later and asked me the same thing. So that's just one example. I have a million others that are just always coming up where I don't actually have to do the work. So I just have to intend it. I just be like, yep, that's what I want. And then things just happen where that just occurs. Of course, there's still the action to be taken. Like I had to walk up the road and have a chat with her, and we organised, we're doing a Instagram giveaway together. So I still have to do that stuff, but it's not necessarily about pushing yourself to make it happen. Like allow the flow, allow things, divine timing, things to come in when they're supposed to come in. So still a novice at this, but definitely, you know, in the last 6 months, really, really playing with this idea of letting go of what the mind wants to do in each moment. Because you're just going to stress yourself out. There's always so many things to do, especially if you let your mind write that to-do list and then you're like, oh God, okay, I've got to do all this, and pushing yourself and making yourself not feel great in your day, and then you're tired at the end, and, you know, things get harder because your emotional state is going, we're not happy, not happy, not happy. While I'm finding when you're doing things in flow, you're happy. You're happy while you're doing them. You know, things like my tea labels, I really enjoyed that 4 or 5 hours that I spent on it versus when I was pushing myself to do it like the month earlier where I just hated it. So it makes life better. So why wouldn't you? So it's trust. It really is. It's trusting that the information you're asking from your higher self is worth listening to. It's trusting your feelings when things aren't feeling good, you feel like you're pushing. That's a really good sign to step back and to stop. reassess. Maybe you need to do it at a later time. Maybe you don't have to do it at all. And don't get caught up in making plans so much. That's a mind thing. It's a mind thing of going, oh, I want to control, like even just for a weekend, for example. I want to make sure that, that I've got things to do and that I'm seeing people and that, I'm not going to spend the whole time bored or lonely or whatever it is. Just trust that the things that you want will come to you. And in the moment, you can, what do I want to do next? And then either people will message you like they've been doing with me, or you can message people and be like, oh, hey, let's go do this. Yeah, cool, awesome, let's go. You don't need to book things 3 weeks in advance. So just a video about flow, which is also about trust, not planning, stepping back. Is it a mind that's tripping you up, making you think you have to do something? Or are you listening to the intuition? Are you listening to your guides and following what they're saying? And what feels good, because it's always about what feels good. And that makes life so much easier. It makes you calmer, makes you appreciate things more. The joy that you feel, you're in higher vibration more often. You're in those nice feeling things, not in the negative stress, worry, anxiety, all those emotions. So it's definitely worth something to look into and to just try. Trust and then try. So hope that helps. Thank you for listening. You can check out my other videos here on YouTube. You can also follow me on Instagram at KimStarkLove, where I share little bits and pieces as well. And I'm doing workshops as well, so you can always check out my website, kimstark.com.au, and look at the events and workshops and things I'm doing there. So yes, thank you. Hope you have a fabulous day and hope it's one of flow.